the set was very rounded and all the doors opened and things came out of doors. And I did this wonderful scene with Peter Adams, actually, and made an exit into the cupboard because I picked the wrong door. So then I had to come out again and say, and I meant everything I said to you.
Hey there, it's Connor Muller and welcome to Let's Chat Showbiz. This podcast is all about Australian showbiz. We're talking the glitz, the glam, the tough times and everything in between. Let's get this show on the road. Today's guest is a true icon of Australian showbiz. With a career spanning more than 6 decades, she has done it all. She has played some of the biggest roles on our stages and has become one of Australia's most celebrated leading ladies. A director, an actress, a choreographer, a performer and a living legend. I'm so thrilled to welcome the one and only Nancye Hayes.
Well, I'm delighted to be here, Connor. Thank you.
I feel very privileged and honoured to sit here opposite you and have a chat with you. So thank you for your time.
I'm a good chatter.
I sure hope so. Now, you started performing professionally at the age of 18, is that correct?
That's correct.
What was the first role you played professionally?
Well, I was a dancer in My Fair Lady, the original My Fair Lady.
Yeah.
And that I came to Adelaide in the very early 1963.
Wow.
Yeah. And we were at the Madge, of course.
Yep.
And I discovered the Central Markets. We all discovered the Central Markets. We used to diet like mad all week and go to the markets on Friday after we were paid and buy all these wonderful cheeses and salamis and everything.
Yeah.
So I have very fond memories of that. And then we'd live on a carrot stick for the rest of the week.
Now, in 1967, you played Charity Hope Valentine in the Australian production of Sweet Charity. Now, that was a bit of a groundbreaking thing for Australia because we often had the tendency to import international people to play the leads. Is that right?
That is right. Up until then, we always had imported artists in leading roles. And then Pajama Game came along in about 1958, and that was an all-Australian cast, and that starred Tony Lamond. And then it went back to imported artists. And then Funny Girl with Jill Perryman was such a huge success, but when Charity came along, it needed to be a dancer.
Right.
And no one there hadn't been a dancing role of that size as a featured character. So I was sort of in the right place at the right time. I'd already taken over in How to Succeed in Business as Hedy LaRue from the American lead and did the national tour and came here to Adelaide. And then I did a show called The Boys from Syracuse, which also came to Adelaide, and I played the role of Luce, and that's based on the Comedy of Errors, Shakespeare's Comedy of Errors, and I was getting good notices. So they gave me a chance with Sweet Charity, but it was a huge gamble because it was very, very early in my career.
Yeah.
And it's a role that was created for Gwen Verdon by her husband, Bob Fosse, and it was to bring her back to Broadway after the birth of their child, Nicole, and he gave her every single moment on the stage. I mean, Charity only left the stage twice in the entire evening. She's thrown in the lake shortly after the opening. I had to go and get dried off.
Oh, wow.
That's why she's not in Big Spender.
Yeah.
And then in the second act, they go to Coney Island and there's a parachute jump. So I used to have to go off and get into the jump and be winched up and winched on again. Wow. So they were the only 2 times she left the stage.
Yeah, wow. You performed alongside the late Peter Adams in that production. Yeah. What was Peter like to work with?
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. We were always great friends, and we got to, after he'd had great success with Cop Shop and everything.
Yeah, of course.
We did Guys and Dolls, which opened here for Festival, the Theatre Trust.
Yeah, wow.
In the New Year's Eve of 85 into 86.
Wow.
So we had a chance to work again, but we were great friends all our lives. He died some years ago now.
And in May 2027, you are returning to that role, Sweet Charity.
Well, I'm not going to do the full role, as you can imagine. But the Australian Music Theatre Festival, which is held in Launceston, has decided to do that as their main musical for the year.
Yeah.
And it's the 60th anniversary of when we opened, so it's very lovely. And there'll be several charities, and I will be there in and out.
Yeah.
We haven't quite decided in what way, but I was talking to Tyron Park, who runs it only on Monday, and he said we've got some great ideas. So so I'm very excited about that.
Of course. Now, you've done so many roles on stage. We could sit here forever and go on and on and on. But a few that I've picked out from 1981 to 83, you played Roxy Hart in Chicago.
Right.
Alongside Geraldine Turner, is that correct?
That's right, yes.
What are your memories of working on that?
Well, we were part of the Sydney Theatre Company's season for the year, and Richard Werrett, who was then their artistic director, loved that show. And there was a lot of controversy when he actually programmed it, because they didn't think a government-subsidised company should be doing an American musical. But he stuck to his guns and he said, no, we're going to do it because it has something to say about media manipulation.
Yeah.
And so we were to do 6 weeks at the Opera House. We did a gypsy run, means we invited all the other actors from other shows who wouldn't be able to see it in the normal performance time to come along. And we knew immediately it was going to be big.
Wow.
So we transferred from the Opera House to the Theatre Royal, and then we went to Melbourne, and then we were invited over here, and then we went back to Sydney, and then we went to Hong Kong.
Oh, wow.
So it was wonderful, and that's where I met my husband.
Oh, wow.
He came to, because the band is on stage, and he was a jazz musician, and he was teaching at the Con in Sydney in the jazz faculty, and he got a call to say, would he like to come and play 6-week gig at the Opera House. He didn't even know what Chicago was. He didn't know anything about musicals. So he came down and we clapped eyes on one another, and that was it.
Oh, wow. Yeah, wow. Now, in 1987, you were in Nine, the musical.
Yep.
Which had an extraordinary cast. It had Peter Topano, Sally Bourne, Maria Mercedes, Caroline Gilmer, the late Gerda Nicholson, in a very, very young Tina Arena. Yeah. What was that like, working on that? What were your memories like?
Well, I saw it in New York. I didn't know anything about it. And I went to New York and it was on, and I've always admired Tommy Tune, who directed it. So I went along, and the minute it started, I thought, this is extraordinary. All these women and this one man and a little boy. And it was so beautifully done. And I thought, oh, I don't think that'll ever be done in Australia, you know. But then I was doing Miss Adelaide in Guys and Dolls, and John Dietrich came to see me, and he said, do you know a show called Nine? And I said, yes, I do. I saw it, and I thought it was marvellous. And he said, I'm going to try and produce it. Would you do Lillian Lafleur, the French woman? Yes, said I. You know, absolutely. So he got the backing, and we did it. We opened in Melbourne at the Comedy, and I had already been contracted to do Sweeney Todd here for the opera company. And I said to him, I can only do 6 weeks and then I'll have to go. And because of the kind of show it was, it was cameos. You could put other people in and it would be fine, you know. So he said, oh, well, it mightn't even last 6 weeks, so let's have a go. Yeah. So that's what I did. I did that for 6 weeks. Then I came over here and did Sweeney, which was the most extraordinary experience. What a show that was. Wow. And then went back, and we did go for into the next year with it. Mm. And we have a marvellous Australian recording of that.
Yes, yeah. And what was it like working with, I mean,
all
some of those names there? Yeah,
yes. Oh, well, they were fantastic. I mean, I can still hear them all doing the numbers. Maria Mercedes, particularly doing My Husband Makes Movies, is so moving. And Peter doing a very unusual way. I can see them all. And Roger Kirk, who's a fabulous designer, the whole show, they're always in black, and each one is very individually dressed, and we were beaded and fringed and feathered, and it was gorgeous. Wow. And then at the end, the same outfits all came out in white.
Oh, wow.
So, no, it was really something to be part of.
Now, in 2008, you mentioned before you were in My Fair Lady early on in your career, but then you returned to it playing Miss Higgins.
Mrs. Higgins.
Mrs. Higgins, sorry.
Yes.
What was it like going from, I mean, you were in part of the ensemble, is that kind of right?
Well, Fair Lady's a show that has dancers, chorus, and then principals.
Right.
And that's the way musicals were formulated.
Yes.
And then when I did How to Succeed, it became ensemble.
Right.
So the dancers had to sing, the singers had to move well. So I was part of that change as well.
Yeah.
So it was lovely to suddenly think there I was starting as a dancer and ending up being Mrs. Higgins all those years later. Yeah. And I did it with Reg Livermore initially, and then Richard E. Grant came out to do it.
Yeah. Now, you're here in Adelaide currently starring in Anastasia. Tell me about the role that you play and what you're most enjoying about playing.
Well, I play the Dowager Empress. I'm very, very grand. And I'm Anastasia's grandmother. And the show opens with me sitting on a bed saying goodbye to little Anastasia and saying, you'll come to Paris and we'll go to the ballet and we'll have this wonderful life. And then I give her a little music box to remember me by. And then you don't see me again until the second act. after the whole Russian world has changed, and she's never got back to Russia in all that time. But the rumour was that Anastasia, the family were assassinated, the Romanovs, but the rumour was that Anastasia had survived, and my character has offered a reward to try and find her, and that's the basis of these two con men getting this young girl, and they're going to teach it and say she is Anastasia, and if that's how it all evolves into Act 2, which is in Paris. So we've got Act 1 in Russia and Act 2 in Paris. It's a great cast. It's a wonderful cast. Georgie, who plays Anastasia, I worked with her for the 25th concert anniversary of Pirates of Penzance up in Brisbane, and she just graduated from her course at the Queensland University, and so this was lovely to 10 years later to be playing opposite her as the leading lady. I mean, it's lovely. And of course we have all the little Anastasias. We get them in each state, and it's lovely to get to know them because they've all got stars in their eyes, and they all want to be in the theatre, and they're all come from dancing schools and whatever. So, but the sad thing is when we have to say goodbye to them, because we have 4 different ones in each state.
And of course, you also get to work alongside Rhonda Birchmore.
My
You and
lady in
Rhonda
waiting.
have been friends for quite some time.
We
is that right?
have. I first met Rhonda when she was playing our song with Jackie Weaver. She was one of the girls in that. So I've known her that was early 80s. That's when we were doing Chicago. I've worked with her only once before, actually on stage, and we're having such a lovely time. I mean, I'm going to be so sad when it finishes, because we've become very, very close. Leading ladies and ladies in waiting.
Now, out of the entire cast of Anastasia, is it true that you're the only person that's done every single show?
At the moment, yes.
Wow.
So far, that's true.
What motivates you to keep going and keep being in the industry?
Well, apart from loving it, I love what I do. I really do. And it's been so long now, I haven't known anything else. Also, I'm pretty disciplined, and I'm pretty resilient. And I think they're the two things that you have to have in your nature to do 8 performances a week and do it for sometimes years.
Yeah, that's right.
But you've got to remember, it might be the 220th time for you, but it's the first time for that person who's bought the ticket. And they deserve to see the show as it was on opening night.
Yeah. Do you have a warm-up routine or something to...
We do warm-ups every night. We do the singing and movement. And I also have a little tape that I continue doing some warming up in my dressing room.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Of course, there's a ballet in it and everything, and all those people have to go to ballet class and do all of that. That's gone by for me now.
And what about winding down after a show? Do you have a wind-down routine?
Yes, we usually have a glass of wine and a bit of supper and, and a good old chat.
Yes.
Yeah. Or we don't do that every night, but just I can't go to bed straight away. I have to turn the telly on and make a bit of cheese and biscuits or something.
Yeah. Now, on stage, what's been one of your favourite roles to play on stage?
That's a hard one to answer because I have a list.
Yes.
Certainly Charity, then Roxy, then Miss Adelaide, then Nellie Lovett, and then I've sort of done a lot of straight plays too. I've done, I love doing Madame Armfeld from Little Night Music. I've done that 4 times now. That's a gorgeous role. And I've done some really good commercial plays. I did one here with Todd McKenny called 6 Dance Lessons in 6 Weeks, which had a great success. And I did one years ago called Same Time Next Year, which was my first commercial play. Because years ago when I started out, if you were in musical theatre, you were never asked to do straight theatre.
Yeah, wow.
It was a very strong division. So again, I was in the right place at the right time when that thinking's changed. And my first straight role was here for the South Australian Theatre Company playing in Born Yesterday.
Oh, wow.
And someone gave me the program for that only yesterday. And it was one program I don't have.
Oh, wow.
So I was thrilled to get it. Yeah.
You must have a collection of programs and costumes and lots of...
Yes, well, I've given a lot of memorabilia to the Performing Arts Museum. Yeah. My charity shoes and, you know, my Pippin fringe leotard and a
Yeah.
few things
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah,
and
yeah.
and they're always grateful to get
Of
little
course.
special pieces.
Of
Yes.
course, of course. Is there anyone that inspired you growing up when you were younger in that?
A woman called Betty Pounder, who was with J.C. Williamson's. She was their ballet, well, she was originally a ballet mistress. And my teacher, my dancing teacher, had given her that position because my dancing teacher was the ballet mistress for J.C. Williamson's through the Gladys Moncrief years. I don't know if you've ever heard of Gladys Moncrief.
No.
She was a big Australian star, our Glad. And then Betty Pounder was made choreographer for all these shows that we did, like How to Succeed and Charity and all those big shows that were done. And she always believed in Australian talent. And there was a lot of controversy about whether I would be given Charity, and I was really fortunate to see a letter that she'd written back from New York where they were doing auditions and said, I really think Nancye Hayes can play this role. Wow. And that's Betty Pounder I'm wearing there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
That was hers.
Yeah.
So it was given to me.
Very special.
Yeah, there she is.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Now, things go wrong on stage sometimes. What's some of the things or stories that you can tell me of things that have gone wrong to you on stage or things you've seen?
There's so many, but I remember a couple. When we were doing Charity, the man playing Vittorio Vidal, a marvellous, beautiful man, a Hungarian man called Alec Novak, and he'd won showcase that Hector Crawford had on television, and he was perfect for Vittorio Vidal, but his English wasn't particularly good, and he learnt all his lines working with a tape recorder.
Right.
And this night, someone didn't turn up in the middle of our scene that was going to progress the scene, and we were sitting there. We were at the club when they do the Frug dance, you know, and I just kept talking and thinking, where is this person? Where is this person? I was talking like a budgerigar. I was saying, oh, look at these people. And every time I paused, he would say, it is so difficult for me. I'd go, oh, yes, and keep going. This went on and on and on. So when the actor finally made an appearance, the audience applauded because they knew exactly what was happening.
Of course.
I was working for Melbourne Theatre Company in a play, and the set was very rounded, and the doors opened and things came out of doors. And I did this wonderful scene with Peter Adams, actually, and made an exit into the cupboard because I picked the wrong door. So then I had to come out again and say, and I meant everything I said to you, and get out the right way. Oh. And then the big sets, like, you know, sets stop and you're trying to ad lib while they try and get you off, and, you know, there's all those things that happen in Sweet Charity. As I said, I never left the stage. I broke the heel of my shoe, and I was in when Vittorio Vidal takes it back to his apartment. His girlfriend turns up and she gets into the closet.
Right.
Charity. So I'm in the closet and people trying to pass a new shoe to me. All that sort of things.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, wow.
Wardrobe malfunctions. Yes.
Have you ever injured yourself?
No, fortunately, I haven't.
Yeah.
No, I haven't.
Yeah. Now, we've talked a lot about your stage credits, but you also have some screen credits as well. You were on This Is Your Life.
Yes.
What were your memories in the reaction of when you found out?
Oh, that was an amazing thing. I was doing Showboat, and had Marina Pryor and Barry Otto and Peter Cousins and everyone. And I'd been asked to present the Dance Awards after the Sunday evening show. And I had everything in my dressing room because I had to be picked up at the stage door and go there. And it was for Dean Perry, who had created Tap Dogs. He was getting a big award. So we finished the show, and Barry Otto had never done a musical. And he said to me, now you've got to look after me and you've got to tell me what's happening. So we got to the bows and we're all bowing, and the curtain isn't coming in and we're bowing. And I said to Barry, now look, what happens? The curtain must be stuck. We're going to bow and wave and leave the stage. And I did that and I started to leave, and he just went like that to me. And I thought, this is strange. And then this roar came out of the audience, and Mike Munro walked from the wings with the book. And I turned to Barry and I said, oh, Barry, This Is Your Life. And then this voice said, Nancye Hayes. And I went, my knees went from under me. You can see it on the tape.
Yeah.
I go, oh, my God. And he said, you think you're going to do this Dance Awards thing where we've organised for someone else to do that, and This Is Your Life. Well, the funny story was my husband they had so many meetings with my husband, he had to find all sorts of things. And they give you a code name, and my code name was Cloudy. So if I ever walked in and he was talking to someone on the phone, he'd say, cloudy, something cloudy. And this day he walked in, he said, yes, it is a bit cloudy. And I thought, it's a beautiful day. What's he talking about? I didn't think any more about it. So when it was all over, he said to me, you don't know what I've been through. He said, I'm so relieved. He said, I thought you'd think I was having an affair. And I said, well, I hate to tell you, it never entered my mind. I think he was a bit disappointed.
Yeah.
But it's an extraordinary experience.
Yeah, unreal.
Because you never know who's going to come out and what's going to be said.
Yeah.
And it was lovely that Hal Prince, who was a great director and producer, did the opening, the greeting for it, which was beautiful.
Now, you were in the Sullivans as well. What are your memories of working on the Sullivans?
Well, it was such an iconic show, you know. It was so lovely to be part of it. And my very best friend's husband was Jack the barman, and he was my boyfriend in the show.
Right.
So that was lovely. The Sullivans. I did Carson's Law. I did Blue Heelers. I did The Dismissal, the miniseries The Dismissal, and also the miniseries The Last Bastion, which was Michael Blakemore, who was a very famous Australian director in London and then New York. He played Curtin, John Curtin. I played Elsie.
Wow. Yeah. And you did Home and Away, is that right?
Oh, yes, I did Home and
You stepped
Away.
into Judy Nunn's role for...
Very quickly
for
because she
15
became ill.
episodes.
She was up promoting one of her books, I think,
Yeah, right.
in Darwin, and she became very ill and had to have an operation, I seem to recall. And I was doing a play at Marion Street, which is a little theatre in the northern suburbs of Sydney, and I got a call and I went along and suddenly I was Ailsa, I think. Was
Yeah, Elsa Stewart, yeah, of course.
character. And, well, I was doing the play at night and turning up at like 5 o'clock in the morning or something that was a very long month or two, whatever it was,
Yeah.
But I enjoyed it. And,
Of course.
And, of course, you don't go to air immediately. So I was in Melbourne and I was on the Flinders Street station, and these young schoolgirls were kind of circling me a bit, almost like a shark circling. And I'm thinking, this is strange. And then they'd have a little bit of a chatter to one another, and then one bravely came up and said, are you Ailsa on Home and Away? And I said, yes, I am. I'd never had that kind of recognition, really.
Yeah, of course.
You know, because it was really quite funny. And they said, oh, it is, it's her.
Wow.
Anyway, so that was nice.
Yeah, right.
Working with Alf.
Of course. Yeah. Did you, I guess, have you met Judy Nunn? Have you worked with
Oh, I know Judy.
You know
Yes,
Judy?
I do know Judy,
Yeah, wow. Yeah, wow. You obviously, do you prefer stage?
I do.
Yeah.
I love stage. I love the immediacy of it. I love the audience reaction. Well, that's what you're working for, whether it be a laugh or whether it be that lovely silence that happens when you know people are really listening. And I've enjoyed choreographing and directing, but performing is my number one love.
Yeah. Now, if 18-year-old Nancye Hayes walked in and could see all you've done in your career, what do you think she'd say?
Well, I never expected it. I thought I'd be a dancer, and then that was going to come to its natural end.
Yeah.
And I had no idea that I would be offered these things. And as I said it so many times in this interview, be there when changes were happening. And I've always said to the young people, the main thing to do in theatre is say yes. You might be disappointed that you're not getting what you went for, but if they offer you something, say yes, because everything you do adds to how much you learn, and you never know who's going to see you and say, I saw someone in that and I think we should bring them in to look at them for something else. So I'm, when I wanted to go into the theatre, I went to see Annie Gets Your Gun when I was 5 years old. And it was one of those moments when that curtain went up and I saw that world, that colour and movement and song and dance and laughter. I thought, that's what I'm going to do. So I used to say to anyone who would possibly listen, when I grow up, I'm going on the stage. And my mother would roll her eyes and go, that'll be nice, dear. So when the time came for me to leave school, and I still had this ambition, she said, look, at that time, my mother was now a widow because my father died in a car accident when I was younger. And she said, it's just worrying me. So will we have a bargain? If you'll go to secretarial college and learn shorthand and typing and work for 2 years until you're 18, then if you want to go off and do, I just feel, as the old quote, oh, you'll have something to fall back on.
Yeah.
So I did that, and as soon as the 2 years were up, I started auditioning, and that's when I got the replacement in Fair Lady.
Yeah.
But, I think she had an older brother who used to say, he said, well, if you're going to do this, can you make a living at it, he said. So I think I'm still trying to prove it.
Well, I think you've definitely proved that, haven't you?
I think so.
Now, is there a point where you ever think, I'm going to retire, I'm going to stop performing?
Well, when a show finishes, you think that.
Yeah.
Because if there's nothing immediate. But I very much admired Angela Lansbury. And she worked for a very long time and very, very well. But the one thing I do hope is that I'll know when to get off. When the time comes. To be wise enough to say, that's it. But I hope it's not immediately.
Yeah. What would you want people to remember you for?
I think that they've had very nice experiences watching me on stage. And it's been something that they've remembered as a very good time. Often people come up to me and say, we saw you in Sweet Charity. It was our engagement party. We went to things like that. That's lovely. When people can pinpoint what you did and what they were doing and what it meant to them.
Yeah. You received a Order of Australia medal.
Yes. I've received two.
Two, yes?
Yes. I'm an OAM and an AM.
Yes. What was your reaction and how does that make you feel?
Well, very proud. I'm very proud that my family, could see that I'd achieved that.
Yeah, of course. Is there a role that you'd still love to play that you haven't had a chance to play? Or one that you've wanted to play that you think?
I think I've had a pretty good run.
Everything
I had on my eye on has pretty much come my way. Yes, because I know what I'm good at and what I'm not good at. I'm not a Les Mis person and I'm not a Phantom of the Opera person.
Yeah, right.
I'm not a Cats person. There was an era of that, and that's when I started to diversify and do, and also as you age, there's got to be appropriate roles available in shows.
Yeah.
So,
Now, at the end of each episode, I ask a question to ask the next guest. Now, our last guest was Guyton Grantley, and his question was,
do you have any tricks for screen? Any faces to pull?
Well, only if they're appropriate.
Very,
I think I've got many faces to pull, but only if they're appropriate.
Yeah, of course. Now, a question for the next guest. It can be a question about anything. We don't know who the next guest is.
Okay. If you were asked to be in a musical and you didn't have musical experience, would you go and learn as much as you could to be part of it?
Brilliant question.
Because a lot of actors have fear of their feet. So I used to do classes for actors and say, come and learn. Just learn the basic steps, and once you start feeling good about it, you'll want to do more.
Yeah. And my final question for you is there anyone you think would be good to have on Let's Chat Showbiz?
Oh, so many people.
I know, there is lots.
Can you get Marina Pryor?
I'd love to get Marina Pryor.
Done Les Mis at the Radio City Musical. I'm so proud of it. One of my children.
Yeah. Yes, Marina Pryor is outstanding and done so much. You've worked with Marina quite a few times.
Yes, I have.
Yes. Well, that brings us to the end of our chat, Nancye. Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me.
Of course. Thanks, Nancye. Thanks for tuning in. If you want more episodes of Let's Chat Showbiz, you can follow along on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Instagram, TikTok, and even Facebook for all you oldies. See you next time on Let's Chat Showbiz.